Today we need to get into people saying that HYBE staying quiet is still addressing the dating rumor and why Twitter actually spoke about this. We also need to get into people saying Troye Sivan and Jimin might work together. And then we allegedly have the stock dropping. Say Dumplings is safe to decide, hater or not, make sure you're subscribed with the notification bell on. Make sure you join us fangirling on Patreon with some free content on Saturdays now, and let's go. So this is a new update on the HYBE and Jin case. So as you all probably know, Jin and HYBE were having some disputes, and there's a lot of stuff going on with that. Now I don't know exactly who was suing Jin or what that was, because was it specifically just Bang PD or was it the entire executive board? But either way, people have taken their sides on this, and for the most part, I think most people thought it wouldn't get any bigger than this. Well, apparently it did. And allegedly, B-Lift is now suing Jin. Of course, I feel like a lot of people should have seen this coming. There were a lot of people that had alleged that eyelid had copied NewJeans, and that was essentially part of the case, I believe. This was talked about as apparently eyelid, the moment they debuted, was constantly being compared to NewJeans to the point where allegedly people would confuse the two groups. Now, I don't personally follow either of the groups that much, so I can't say for sure what I believe, but if you want to make a decision yourself, look up their comebacks and see if you can tell them apart. Apparently, as all of this was happening, it was believed that the label stock dropped, and that definitely makes sense. If all these legal situations were starting to happen, it definitely makes sense that investors would want to pull out before they get in trouble too. Legal actions can lead to a freeze or stop money from being made. The label did make it clear that NewJeans and all the artists involved would not be halted due to the ongoing dispute. But for argument's sake, let's say eyelid did copy or take inspiration from NewJeans, then during the dispute, they would need to stop making music as they attempt to re-strategize. Now that likely isn't what's going to happen, as I believe the label does have integrity and probably wouldn't just blatantly copy. It doesn't make sense why they would, because they get a cut of NewJeans' success anyway. Likely what I assume happened, if there is any overlap, is that the specific style is just trendy right now. A lot of people like to scream that the stock is dropping because they want to see the label fail. However, you can literally check this yourself, which a lot of people don't do. If you go on Google and write in HYBE stock, you can very easily see where the stock is going. At the time of recording, the stock for HYBE has decreased for today, meaning it has gone down, but if you check for the last month or the last year, it hasn't decreased a substantial amount to raise any concern. Stocks move up and down daily. This is why day trading is so risky. I'm not seeing a huge fluctuation in the label stock. The stock could also drop for many reasons, and I don't know if it would be over this suit. I think people are just hoping the label would fail. And if you're not aware, there's a lot of stuff going on amidst the dating rumor with Jimin and Song Dae-eun. If you don't know what's going on, Song decided to post a bunch of stuff on social media, then insinuated that the two knew each other. And for some reason, the internet thinks that the two are together romantically. However, a lot of people found it even more interesting over the fact that the label has yet to confirm or deny whatever is going on with the two. Now, there was an article that stated that because the label wasn't making a statement, that it's either true or whatever. And I thought this was very interesting because the label not addressing something or someone not addressing something doesn't necessarily mean that whatever is being rumored or talked about is true. More times than not, it probably means that the rumor or the thing that's being talked about is actually so stupid that they don't want to waste their time talking about it. Because if people aren't actually making a lot of sense and what they're saying is a bit delusional, then the label coming up with the statement is only going to add to the fire rather than kind of stopping it. Plus, the label has a lot of things going on. Their legal team and their PR team is probably going to deal with the whole lawsuit going on, but they're not really thinking about this. I thought this was interesting because when the article was posted online, Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, you could see a community note below the post on Twitter or X. And if you're not aware of what a community note is, it's basically a note that's either from the employee or from the community on Twitter or X, and usually elaborates on whether the post is truthful or not. I was seeing a lot of posts within the last few days basically saying that Song is a clout chaser, and then that's the reason why she is doing this, or that she's an attention seeker. Now, I wonder if a lot of the comments that are being made would have been made if this was somewhat of a different gender. and that we're saying these things we're talking about. Because oftentimes I see these comments be really skewed towards a specific gender, and it's women in this space saying this to other women. And as much as the community loves to say that there are advocates for women's rights or a bunch of other things, the moment it's about their favorite celebrity, all of that goes out the window. They do not care about women's rights anymore, which is extremely messed up. How a lot of these people will give up women's rights to support their favorite male idol, which of course you should support your favorite celebrity. But if that comes at a risk at completely insulting your gender and your other sisters, that's kind of crazy. Now, apparently that community post was taken down because a lot of the comments that were made, such as things like she's attention seeking or whatever, are not professional. It's not what an actual staff or someone who is professional would have written, even if the post is correct. And if people actually believe that they're not together, writing and insinuating a post is not professional. You need to write a post that is not biased, whereas a lot of these posts coming from the community will start out not biased, but then later say things like, we don't trust her, she's attention seeking, or she's a bad person, and then now that just makes it a biased post. Now, the new post was written by a staff member because it said it was coming from the official website, and it's more so things like the label doesn't have to address anything. It doesn't really go and insult any particular member. It doesn't really side on any specific side. This also shows how a lot of people outside of the community see a lot of the drama that happens within this community to be somewhat ridiculous, because they would often say that it doesn't even matter or it's not a big deal, whatever it is. On a brighter note, there are some rumors going on of Jimin and Troye Sivan creating some music together, which made me very excited as well. Just to give a little backstory here, Jimin has spoken about Troye for a really long time and has addressed how if you were to pick an artist to collaborate with or work with, it would be him. Now, I don't know how much Troye has pioneered in this industry, but from what I was aware of, he was one of the first, like fully out and really mainstream and really big gay celebrity. And there were a few, but they really weren't out until much later, whereas Troye was out right from the beginning. And that was what his music was about. Whereas a lot of gay celebrities, especially musicians, they'll still sing about girls, or they'll still make songs that don't really out them. The first artist that comes to mind is freaking Ricky Martin, where he has been out for a really long time, but he was out later after he became famous. But even now, being out, he still sings about girls, which I think is very interesting. Recently, Troye did an interview where he talked about Jimin, and he was specifically asked if he ever do a collaboration with him. And Troye answered that he would do it anytime, and basically the sooner the better. People love this because obviously Jimin has explained that he would love to work with him, and so now that they're both in agreement to do it, it can probably happen. People have been bringing up a previous time in which Troye's music was used, and people have used it as a way to also say and talk about Jimin's orientation. And I'm sure if the two actually do collab and work together, this would be a topic of conversation as well. Now, if you are unaware, Jungkook has this series that he has made himself called GCF, and he basically did one in Tokyo, and this was an episode where it was just JK and Jimin by themselves and hanging out. Now, apparently one of the songs that was used in the GCF was a song that Troye wrote about his ex-boyfriend. The song was about Troye's ex-boyfriend's 23rd birthday, and then apparently after the GCF was released, Jimin's birthday followed soon after. So people were wondering or thinking that that song was intentionally used, as JK was probably using it to express love to Jimin, by understanding that sometimes this is not how music is used, especially when amateurs are editing videos. And we can say that JK is really good at what he does, but he is an amateur editor because that's not his career. They'll typically pick songs that just sound good and that go with the vibe of whatever the video is about. And especially from people who probably don't speak English that well or really look into the lyrics that much, the lyrics probably had no implication to what the video was actually about. And oftentimes the people who review the video before it gets posted are also just thinking, oh, this is a song. It's really not a big deal or doesn't mean anything. Let me know what you think. Make sure you check out Patreon for more videos. Link down below. Thanks for this lovely comment right here. Love you. Bye.